Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cool Water Show, where we are covering everything that happens in the Real Housewives universe, and it is a lot this week. We've got planets galore in this universe, really what it's coming down to. So I am Kari, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Katie. Katie, happy Labor Day. How are you today?
I am good. This is our second podcast today together.
I know.
So it's very exciting.
I didn't even remotely try to make it seem like I changed clothes. I was productive between podcasts, but I definitely was not like, I didn't change. I didn't do anything. I ate lunch and then made a PowerPoint slide presentation.
That's great.
So living it up over here.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do.
I was not productive.
I told them I would have it done this weekend, and so I really had to just sit down and get it done. But it's done, and if anybody gives me any feedback on it that I don't want to hear, I'm just going to pretend I didn't get the email. So
perfect. Love that.
Yep, it is perfect. The slides are perfect when I ask for feedback but ignore it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, totally.
So we have a bunch of things that have happened this week. So we got the Salt Lake City trailer for the upcoming season. We had Beverly Hills, and we didn't have an episode 2 weeks ago, which is why we took a week off, because we would have only had Atlanta to talk about. But we had this week's Beverly Hills, which isn't really like the news as much as the internet is the news. So we will talk all about that. And then we have the last 2 weeks episodes of Atlanta, including, which I didn't realize until I text Katie, and I was like, they just said this season on. Is this a season finale? So I had no clue that we were at the end of the Atlanta season. That went so fast.
So fast. Meanwhile, this Beverly Hills season is dragging ass.
Forever.
And I feel like Atlanta started like 2 weeks after or 2 weeks before or something, and it feels like it flew by, but these Beverly Hills ladies will just not leave us. They're here forever. They just won't leave us alone.
So I thought that we actually wouldn't have an episode this week, because the last few holidays have landed on Monday. It didn't show an episode on the Sunday, so I actually checked yesterday to be like, is there even going to be an episode? So I was not only surprised there was an episode, I was surprised that there was a final. And like you said, we've skipped a couple of Sundays with Real Housewives of Atlanta, where we skipped not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before for Beverly Hills for we have no idea what reason. And the fact that this season's already done, where it just feels like I'm being dragged through this Beverly Hills season.
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I have lost my voice at this point about it.
Yeah, especially the screaming. Specifically the screaming.
Yes. So we're going to talk about everything we just mentioned. If there's anything else that's happened, we'll bring it up. We'll probably talk some New Jersey too, even though Katie and I had a little like debrief about it this morning. But I've been crushing New Jersey seasons. I am flying through it, so we can keep you updated on my adventures there. But first, let's chat about this Salt Lake City trailer.
Yeah.
As I told you, I watched it twice. There's only one thing I remember that happens, which is a new girl yelling at Jen Shah.
Eating Jen up. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I'm assuming it was about her like court case and all this stuff, but
yeah, she said something about like money, having money in the books or something like that. All I know is I'm ready for that. I'm ready to watch it. I'm ready to watch people get in Jen's face. But the few high notes of this, there are a lot. I didn't think I was ready for Salt Lake City to come back. I know we've talked about it because the season was like 6 months long.
It was
given all the holidays and the breaks that they took. That was one that felt like it was really dragging, and it was just like, it was all over the place. We lost the plot so many times, and so I was like, I don't feel like I'm ready to come back to Salt Lake City yet, until I saw that trailer, and then I was like, oh no, I'm fully back. Like, I'm ready. I'm back. Let me buckle up. I'm here. I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, Heather Gay had a black eye, which
Heather Gay had a huge black eye, and she alludes to someone hitting her. Like, Lisa Barlow's like, looks like someone clocked you, and she's like, maybe someone did.
There's no way
I highly doubt it.
Punched in the face, and we did not hear about it through leaked whatever. Like there's
Right. We would have
absolutely
heard about
no
it.
way. Yes, because there's no. Do you think Heather Gay is going to let someone punch her in the face and not have them arrested? No.
Right. Right.
Like there's ways we would have heard about this.
Yeah, I agree. I think we definitely would have heard. I thought it was maybe like some cosmetic procedure or something, or
Oh,
I don't know. That's what it looked like, or that's what I had initially thought when they
mm-hmm.
first showed it in the beginning. But like within seconds of the trailer coming out, someone tweeted at Whitney and said, "Did you do this?" And Whitney was like, "Oh my god, of course not," which I thought was pretty funny that
Yeah.
she's immediately like responding to tweets.
We do see that it seems like the unbreakable bond between the Mormon cousins is breaking though.
Yep.
Heather like shoves Whitney at one point, like Teresa
Throws her
did
like
to
a rag
Andy.
doll. Yes, yeah. That was like what it was reminiscent of, is of she just throws her like it's nothing. Throws her like a rag doll.
Was this season must have been filmed before they went on Ultimate Girls Trip 3, correct?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so interesting because we know that those two go on this trip together. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see where that ends up. Oh my gosh, there's just so much.
Yeah.
Um, what else? Do we only have sorry, I have like three thoughts going through my head at the same time, so I'm not making complete sentences. Are we adding any housewives or are we
No,
just
they're
adding
all
friends of?
friends
Okay,
of.
that's what I thought
Yep.
because I think I remember them saying, "Who's the girl that threw like the catering party?"
Angie,
Right.
she's
Wow,
a
how
friend
do
of.
you're so good at this
Shocked.
because I don't know any of their names. They're all just
This is
like
taking up,
blonde Mormons to me.
yeah, too much space in my brain, sadly.
Yeah, but one of us needs to have that space taken up. So thank you for your service. And
Whether I'm willing to have it taken up or not, it is taking it up, so I may as well put it to good use.
right. So there was rumors that she was going to become a housewife, but I guess not. So we
Yeah, she's a
lose
friend of.
Mary, no shocker there. And we have the 5, which I
We
like
also lost racist Jenny. Don't forget about
oh,
racist Jenny.
I gladly forgot about racist
Mm-hmm.
Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Jenny too. Like, okay, bye. See
Yep.
ya. We have 5 housewives. I am excited just for that number
Me
because
too.
I like a smaller cast.
Me too. Even though if you give us a lot of friends of, I'm glad that we don't have to waste time on like Angie's home life or whatever. Like, I don't need that. Like, pop in, cause some drama, and leave. Like, give me the Kim D. I don't need to know anything about your life. Just come in, be a mess, and then leave. That's
I
all I
have
need.
thoughts on that I will return to in a
Okay.
later time in this
Okay.
show because what the fuck. But anyway, yeah, I we've talked about this. I like that Atlanta kind of has their own version of the Major League Baseball minor league
Yeah.
system. Like Marlo has been in AAA for a while and she finally got moved up to the majors. We've got like from this season, probably like Manetta in AA. She's been around. Her husband's been on
Mm-hmm.
things. Like
Mm-hmm.
Batum's probably like single A, but she like had a really, really, really hot start to the season and they moved her up to AA and then she just went in this slump and moved her back down. Like I like the development of these people
Yeah.
versus like plop, here's someone who has not interacted with any of these people, but might have been at a party with one of the housewives 4 years ago, and that's the connection we're making. Versus, like, let's develop some talent. Let's see who does and
Yeah.
doesn't do well. And so, give me a small cast, give me 4 or 5 friends of, rotate those people in. Let's start caring about them. Like you said, when we get these, like, brand new women like Dr. Jen who are going through a divorce, like, who the fuck are you and why do I care? Versus, like,
Exactly.
we care about what Marlo's going through in her first season as a Real
Yeah.
Housewife because we've been seeing her on our screens for like 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And for me, a year,
Agreed.
but whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, Beverly Hills, take some notes. Diana never should have been a full-time housewife. Dorit should not be a full-time housewife. None of these, actually, all of them should just be off the show. But like, yeah, take some notes. Give us friends of out our ass. It doesn't really matter if they're boring. Then you can just cut them out, like we did with Nicole in OC last season. Although I think there was more to that than
Yeah.
what met the eye, but whatever. Yeah. So we have 3 friends of 5 full-time housewives. We have allegations of Lisa Barlow performing sexual favors to get Vita tequila in stores in Salt Lake City, which I highly doubt is true. We have what else? What else? Well, we see the guilty plea, but I know so the drama at the time that Jen pled guilty is that she kept up her innocence throughout the whole season. And then Andy even came out afterwards and said he was pissed because he was like, we went through this whole season where she's saying that she's innocent. He's like, I believed her. Some of the wives believed her that she was innocent. Like, she really fought for this. And then she went ahead and she pled guilty. So it seems like we have like footage of her pleading guilty, and maybe we'll get some reactions filmed a little later. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, same. Definitely same.
It seems overall, like I also have seen on social media that the sides are splitting a little bit. Like, it seemed like it was Heather, Meredith, and Jen on one side and Whitney and Lisa on the other side. And who knows where some of these friends will shake out to. But I'm happy that Whitney and Heather Fairweather are breaking up. I can't stand them together. I also can't stand Whitney. She gives me the heebie-jeebies.
She's not at that point of distaste for me yet, because she does provide what I think a housewife does need to provide, which is the willingness to either purposefully or just stupidly stir shit up all the time.
Oh, yeah. She is a shit stirrer for sure.
So, especially in a smaller cast like this where they've been together a lot, because I feel like they really haven't like left our TVs for a long time since they I feel like because they had such a good season 1 that Bravo was like, oh, no. We just finished filming. Take a 2-week break and we're back on it. And then obviously the Jen Shaw.
They started filming right after the reunion. So, and when we left off on the reunion, I didn't forget, but I really did try and put these ladies out of my brain for a little while just to cleanse myself. But where we left off was Meredith just heard Lisa saying that she fucked everyone in New York, calling her a whore and whatever, saying that they can't afford to own a house in a closet or in her bedroom somewhere. And then we had the reunion right after. Like, that was all fresh.
Oh, yeah. They showed them that episode like on purpose.
The day before the reunion. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good. I mean, I would love for them, because what episode was this? Real Housewives of Atlanta, because it definitely wasn't like a 20 episode season. Okay, there were 17 episodes. Like, give me a condensed like 15, 16 episode season, but every episode is good to great, versus stretching this out until 2024. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping that happens.
Feels shorter, this Atlanta. So typically it's 22 episodes total, I think. So I guess they cut Atlanta short this season. They gave him the New Jersey treatment a little bit.
Wasn't the worst thing though. Like, I would rather be like, oh wow, it's already over, versus like end this a month ago. So
same.
I will gladly take that, especially because, and we'll talk about it, like, it's not like a ton happened during the like Atlanta season. Yeah. But they're so good just because like they actually get along and like are entertaining, that we don't need a major thing to happen and still be happy with it. Yeah, so there was 21 episodes before the reunion, the 3-part reunion of Salt Lake City.
There was 21 episodes before the reunion of Salt Lake City? Okay, that's longer than usual, because I think with the reunion, it's usually 22 total, no?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen different things, and honestly,
that's
because
too long.
Yeah, so season 2 was a lot. They had only they had a 3-part reunion for season 1, but there was only 13 episodes. So they increased by 8 episodes from season 1 to season 2 before the reunion.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's too much.
Way too much.
All right.
It seems like we have some storylines for season 3. I'm excited about it. I'm ready to switch some things up. I was listening to Danny Pellegrino's Everything Iconic podcast where he talks about Housewives, and he was saying Salt Lake City girls clock in for work, and he's absolutely right. They do. These ladies clock in. So as long as that season felt, this Beverly Hills season feels so much longer because literally nothing is happening. Like, I don't know why we need to wait for a cast trip that's like one of the last 4 episodes of the show for things to start to happen, even though like nothing really happened on the first episode of Aspen either. So, yeah,
I mean, just what's her face got called a cunt.
Right, again, right. So I'm just Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. And Potomac is coming too, I think in October. We just got a cast photo of them yesterday. They're all in red. They look amazing. I think that was leaked somewhere. So I'm excited about it. Same cast as last season. So
Fine by
I'm
me.
looking forward to it. Yeah. I heard Charisse is coming back as well, but I don't know. She wasn't in the photo, so I don't know.
All right. Well, Salt Lake City, please live up to your trailer's hype, because
Please.
Beverly Hills had a what seemed to be eventful trailer, and even mid-season trailer, and I'm still sitting here being like,
Where is
okay,
all of it?
when?
Mhm.
In the words of Shannon from the Challenge USA, according to my invisible watch, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about Beverly Hills, and we'll talk about the episode, but really we need to get down to
Mhm.
what's going on online. So, we're
Yeah.
going to save that for a minute, make you listen a little bit longer. But this past week on Beverly Hills, we do have some acknowledgement that I think is worth talking about. Kyle and Sutton, not Kyle and Sutton, Kyle and Dory agree that people are piling on Sutton a little bit.
Yeah.
And we see that happen further in this episode later
Yep. Doesn't
on.
change.
Yeah,
Spoiler
it's
alert, doesn't change.
just kind of acknowledgement of it, but that's it. I am over Kyle. I'm not that like
Yeah.
not that like that's a hot take or anything, but like this episode especially, and I feel like I've said this 3 times already this season, maybe more, just like she's doing too much.
Way too much.
Or
Way too
in some
much.
cases, like, not enough. Like, you're gonna sit here and acknowledge on camera that people are, I don't wanna say bullying, but are being far too hard on Sutton, and you call Sutton your friend.
Yeah.
And, like, what are you doing to stop it? Like, she was part of the flip out during the Ouija board shit that kind of encouraged everybody else to then continue to pile on Sutton.
Right.
So
Right.
either be a better friend or stop pretending to care, I guess.
Yeah, well, she's just doing whatever is going to make her look good or push the story along, which is she's just not genuine. She's just not a genuine person. She tries to come off as the most genuine, and she'll say in her every tagline, Beverly Hills, if you're not real, then blah, 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 like whatever. She's just not. She's not. Even, I'm going to skip around a little bit, but even if I'm Kathy Hilton and my little sister puts me in a goddamn bunk bed and then talks shit about my sandals, my slippers when I come in the house. She doesn't even get, I'm bringing my own pillow. And then she gets like annoyed that I'm asking for a napkin and like for grilled corn. Then I'm pissed. I like, that to me felt like such a power play against Kathy. Like it felt like she was really trying to stick it to Kathy. And I'm just like, I just can't, the whole thing with Kyle. I can't. Everything seems like it's a power grab with her.
I thought it was so funny. Kathy Hilton in a bunk bed, like Kathy Hilton.
Yeah.
How many hotels? Like, and Kyle's like, yeah, this is actually like the most comfortable bed. And she's like, yeah, I'll sleep here. Like, okay, Kathy.
Give her the option to stay with the other women.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, yeah, I've only had this house for 3 years. And I'm like, okay, so you never invited your sister to come stay for 3 years. Come on, give me a break.
Well, because, I mean, they only get along on TV for the sake of television.
Exactly.
No, I definitely laughed when Kathy was, like, laying in the bunk bed. But after Kyle and Dorit's little lunch, which I really felt the only worthwhile thing that came out of it was the acknowledgement of the pile-on Sutton. We get Diana and Garcelle meeting up, and so Garcelle trying to be genuine, Diana trying to get to know Garcelle, Garcelle trying to let Diana get to know her. Garcelle, why are you wasting your time, girl?
Seriously, yeah, waste of time.
Like, I respect that Garcelle hears things that when people are either giving her feedback or critical of her, and she tries to act on it, or like just situations going on when she sat down with Erica after like the drinking stuff and the Sutton things, and like she'll have those one-on-one conversations that I feel like a lot of them try to avoid or wait until they're in front of a group because it's easier. It's like good knowing that someone else is going to jump on your side and like pile on. I do really respect that. Like Garcelle, it's like, okay, I'll sit down with Diana. Diana says this. Come on, like let me give you the time. Then I feel like a lot of them have been like, oh, whatever. We spend this, and this activity together. Why do you need a lunch from me?
Right. Totally.
After we see Lisa Rinna going through her mom's stuff. Okay, and then we find out that Mauricio is going on the girls' trip to Aspen. What did you think of this?
Mauricio needs to get out. Just get out. He was even at Ultimate Girls Trip. Get out of here.
That's true.
Go away. Go away for 5 minutes. We don't need you. We do not need you. There's no reason for you to be here. So you can cook outside in 4-degree weather. Go outside. Go away. Let them order catering.
My dad does that. He like puts the grill right next to the sliding door on the deck so that he can like still grill in the winter.
Yeah.
Which like is great because his grilling is great. However, I'm still like, Dad, we can use the oven today. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fine. But yeah,
he's
Mauricio,
also like, I'm going to stay because
doing?
I'm going to go skiing. I'm like, you can literally go skiing anytime you want. You guys have access to jets and like just stay somewhere else.
Also, I feel like the Atlanta women would have like torn Kyle apart for this.
Yes,
If it was
1000%.
a different cast, like, oh, you're bringing your husband?
1000%.
Like they
think
tore up Kenya for bringing Brooklyn one time and having her like, and that's her kid who needs to be taken care of.
Right.
But Kyle brought not only Mauricio, but also her dog, which like.
And I'm sorry, that house is small.
The Aspen one?
Yeah, it's like, it looks big, but for guests, it's not a house for entertaining. That's for sure. Like, everything looked like they were on top of each other. And like, just having one more person in the house and a big dog, it just feels like it's not. Also, where's the crew staying? Like, it just feels like there was no optimal place for them to like shoot things. It just seemed awkward and like they were on top of each other.
Well, that's why there was 4 bunk beds in that one room.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm just gonna go stay in the beautiful villa up the street.
That place was amazing.
If I'm Erica or Rinna and I see that place, or Kathy, I'm like, wait, why did I have to stay here in your shitty bunk bed?
Someone trade me immediately.
Yeah, I want to stay there. They don't even need to trade. I'm sure there's more room in that place.
There was 5 bedrooms just on the first floor. I think there was a couple more on the second floor. Oh, it was so beautiful. I can't imagine how much it costs to rent that place out. And then that's where I got going of like, who's paying for this? Because it's ski season. So this is like prime time to like actually rent this out. Is Bravo dropping? Why does Bravo care this much about the Beverly Hills cast to pay that much money for them?
I don't know.
And I just think of like the New Jersey season I'm watching where they went to like Stowe, Vermont, and it's like they're getting Aspen in this mansion. I don't know, whatever. And one of them, and Diana doesn't even stay with them.
No,
she has
Diana sends her Ghostbusters to a hotel.
Which, okay. I care a little bit because like, I think it's part of the whole experience. And we've seen this happen in other cities where it's like, for example, Kenya not wanting to stay because of Brooklyn or whatever. Like, no, all of us are together. And so this is the second time this season that they've gone on a trip and they've been split up because at La Quinta or whatever.
Because they always have to stay at Kyle's fucking house.
Yeah.
This is not Kyle's real estate show. We don't need to just do a tour of her homes.
But I think the like flip side to it, which I think if I was one of the other housewives that I would appreciate, is there's nothing worse than having to stay with someone who does not want to stay where you're staying because they know they have a better, different option. And I cannot imagine how miserable Diana would be to stay with because first of all, she travels with like how many people? Yeah. You would need an even bigger mansion. Like the whole top floor would be for Diana. So in one way, it's annoying that she just won't like suck it up and do it. But in another way, it probably helps. And she even said this, like, I'm saving everybody from me by doing this.
Yeah.
That's probably a factual
The
statement.
only self-aware thing that she's ever said.
Yeah.
Probably in her entire life.
Mm-hmm. Something that came up about the room situation, the living situation, whatever you want to say for Aspen, is that Dorit's not staying with Kyle. Dorit always stays with Kyle. But she
Does
said,
she stay with Kyle or does she stay with Mauricio?
"Oh, ooh, you heard it here first,
I'm
Reddit."
just asking. I'm just asking. I'm just
Yeah, no, that's
asking.
been all over Reddit.
Just asking the question.
I don't have an answer for you, but if someone does,
Mauricio seemed very disturbed that Dorit wasn't staying there.
I didn't even like think to gauge that reaction.
Yeah.
That's smart.
He was like, oh.
Yeah. And I mean, I do respect Dorit's opinion on this in a way where it's like she could very easily play the card of, no, I always stay with Kyle. By the way, don't forget, like, I had a home invasion happen within the last X months, and I feel safest in a place with Kyle, their big dog, Mauricio, whatever. But instead, she kind of like took one for the team to keep, like the Yankees and Red Sox separate, if you will. You have Erica and Rinna in one house. You've got Sutton and Garcelle in another. And to be able to like make room for everyone. So I think Dorit did something. I mean, exclude all of the home invasion stuff. Like, there's a better chance for peace because of Dorit's decision here. I'm okay with. I support you in that decision, Dorit. Sorry, you're not gonna be able to like hook up with Mauricio, but good. Or maybe she did it to maybe quell some rumors.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, there were some previews for the next episode. And this, I guess, is kind of a spoiler for next episode, but not really because nothing happens on the show. She did leave the house and she went to go stay at the hotel with Diana in the middle of the night.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
She didn't end up staying. Yeah.
Okay, well, I take it back. You're good for nothing.
She tried.
Yeah. We get Erica talking to. No, I'm lying to you. We get Garcelle talking to. I can't even write down who it was.
Cherie.
It was Cherie saying she wants nothing to do with. Oh yeah, she was like, I wouldn't dump water on her if she was on fire.
Like, at least spit on her.
Yeah.
Cherie's a little bit of a flip flopper to me, I'll say. She's all over the place supporting Erica and Diana and everybody else on Instagram and wherever. But you're supposed to be Garcelle's bestie, and given what we'll talk about soon with what's going on with Garcelle, you wouldn't catch me dead talking to any of these women on the internet and being supportive of them after everything that's gone on. Like, that's just not the kind of friend I am.
No, I agree. And like, she came out strong, like having a strong showing, and we were like, Team Cherie, let's go. And then all of a sudden online, she takes a different approach, and it's like, so are you doing what you think will most likely get you?
Right.
They're diamonds, right?
Yes.
A diamond? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what it kind of feels like to me right now.
That is what it feels like. That is what it feels like.
I would rather stay strong, Cherie, and whatever your convictions are.
Me too. And I was just scrolling through Instagram, I think maybe yesterday or Saturday, and she did a big article with Page Six, which is like a little weird, but it was all about Will Smith. And I'm like, why are you doing a full article about Will Smith? How many years after you've been divorced and you have like a blended family? It's like a little weird.
Also, is now the best time to connect yourself to Will Smith as much as you are? Like, I won't even get into the whole Will Smith of it all because I think I'm actually like Team Will Smith in it. But, like, not so much Team Will Smith. He shouldn't have done what he did, but I think that he is being unjustly punished because, or like, it's just over the top. He's being made an example of. So anyway, like, is now the best time to hitch your wagon for a second time to Will Smith? Because the first time clearly didn't work, and now he's kind of like, issuing apologies through like Instagram reels to people. I don't know.
I know. I got it.
Little weird choice, in my opinion. The next thing is we get, is it Crystal and Garcelle bringing up the news that came out about Erica's $750,000 earrings that Joe Girardi's company paid for?
Girardi.
Joe Girardi's fucking Yankees. See? Idiot. I even wrote Joe Girardi. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Tom Girardi. Joe Girardi was the Yankees. Tom Girardi, lawyer. Kari, you're dumb. Company bought for Erica. So does she have to give them back? Did she give them back?
I think she was told to give them back. I don't know if she did, but I do think that they asked her to give them back.
We have some Erica news as well that we can wait on that.
We do.
We'll sit on it. Because I didn't
read too much about it.
I just literally the only thing I read was what I sent you, which is a headline.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it.
Great. But yeah, this is a topic of conversation that doesn't show up too much in this episode, but it feels like we're setting ourselves up for more. Because I think in the preview we also see Erica like flipping out next episode.
Well, yeah, next episode it seems like we're gonna have some things to discuss.
Perfect.
For sure.
So we are laying some groundwork with these expensive earrings. The women get on the plane after this, and there's like a joke of like, oh, is there assigned seating? Like, ha ha. Good one. But the best part of the plane is when they're all like cheersing and Garcelle pulls out a flask.
Yeah, Garcelle's I would not want to fly on this plane, by the way. I was watching it and I felt like I could see. I'm a nervous flyer. I probably have told you that many times. But I felt like when I was watching the plane, it was like, ugh, like I could see the turbulence happening. And I was like, there's no way I would get on this plane. I'd rather be with their money in first class on a big jet, flying wherever I need to go. That's what I was thinking about when I was watching this plane scene.
I've been in a small plane, but it was only to go skydiving. So we only went up like 10,000 feet. And I honestly like didn't notice much of like how it felt differently, but that could also be because we only went to 10,000 feet versus, I mean, assuming private jets go up to a normal plane's height of like 30, 35, whatever. I don't know. That stuff like doesn't worry me in the slightest. Is that weird?
I wish I could be like you. That's all I think about.
To me, getting in a car is so much more hazardous than being in a plane.
Logically, yes.
I don't know. It's never been something that has like crossed my mind as like, this should be something I'm concerned of, versus like my brother just gets hammered before every single flight that he goes on. Like if it's a 7:00 flight, he's up at like 3 a.m. drinking.
Oh my God. Well, good for him.
So I understand it. It's just I don't know. I like, go ahead, shake me all around. I will say when I flew back from the UK once, we had some bad turbulence and I had my I think like the pillow or blanket, but when I say pillow or blanket, like I was sitting in the middle seat in economy in like Qatar Airlines. So it's like the middle seat of the middle part of like the big ones. Yeah. And I'm just like holding on to it for dear life, being like, this is where it ends. Like,
yeah, it's horrifying.
Plate of food in front of me that looks disgusting, and this is how it ends. Like me and Qatar Airlines.
Yep.
It's been like the only time that I've been like, oh, if I don't believe in God, but maybe I should now. Sorry, bud.
Now it's time to repent. Just in case.
Bad. Hail Mary, full of grace.
Yeah. Yep.
We get to Aspen, and so the women kind of divide up into their separate houses. This is where we see the beautiful mansion that they're staying in.
Beautiful.
I can't imagine how much that cost. I'm just so jealous of it.
Me too.
They even have shuffleboard in there, which is like one of my favorite bar games.
Yeah, shuffleboard's fun.
It is. It really is. Then Kathy Hilton shows up a little bit later. She gets the tour, and we get the conversations of like, why hasn't Kathy been here before? I've only had it for 3 years. Like, okay, whatever. And Kathy in her bunk bed. But after this, the women go to Kyle's house for dinner. And that's where Mauricio is barbecuing. We've got Crystal trying to help. We've got Kathy asking 14 questions.
All reasonable questions. She's like,
Yeah.
can I have silverware? And they're like, ugh. Erica's face is like, God, she's asked for silverware. Like it's an absurd question.
What was the question about the corn? I forget.
She wanted Mauricio to grill the corn.
Oh, right.
And he was like, you can go out there and grill it yourself.
It's going to take 45 minutes longer or whatever. To be fair, grilling corn does take a long time. I made some corn in the air fryer yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah. 12, 15 minutes in there. Very good.
On the cob?
Yeah.
Really?
I saw it on TikTok and I was like, I gotta try this. So I bought 2 ears of corn.
And it was good?
Yeah. I cut it in half.
Did you have to wrap it in tinfoil?
No, I just put avocado oil on it. And then I put some salt on it in the air fryer. And then when I took it out, I put some butter. And I didn't put any more salt, even though I was considering it, because I could just eat salt straight.
Me too.
And
just lick the salt off
the
thing.
So, and it was good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very easy. Saw TikTok and I was like, I'm going to try this because it only required me to spray avocado oil on it, which I'm capable of doing. Yeah. So there's a little hack for those of you who want corn on the cob, but don't feel like going through, because like what, you can boil corn on the cob? Is that how you make it?
I guess so.
Grill it, which grilling does take a while.
Yeah.
Air fry. It was good.
That is good to know.
If anybody wants that TikTok, just let me know. I'll send it to you. I favorited it so I could easily find it for when I would decide to use it for the first time.
I might want you to send it to me.
Perfect. I got you.
Awesome.
After dinner, Lisa Rinna comes out of her room and is like, look what I found, a Ouija board.
This whole thing was very strange to me because it felt like Kyle was like, it's your house. Why do you have a Ouija board there unless like you knew? I don't know. They all seem to be like, oh no, a Ouija board. When like obviously Kyle knows it's there.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any childhood memories with a Ouija board?
Yeah, I used it a couple of times. Sometimes it felt real to me, but obviously it wasn't because it's like a board game. But I definitely like as a kid thought it was real. I don't have an aversion to that type of thing. I know some people do, which drives me crazy. We talked about this on Stop Being Polite when Matt wouldn't do the tarot card reading.
Yes. Yeah. It's not like I believe it. And I always remember as a kid, like I would play along with like are you in the room? That was always the first question. And then it's like, where are you from? And it would always go to H because people would want to spell hell. And then I would always start pushing towards O for it to spell Hooters. That's what I always did. I continue to be the worst. I was the worst.
No, that's great.
Yeah. And that's like really all I remember about Ouija boards is like me being the asshole, like full on pushing against going towards the E and going towards the O for Hooters.
I love that.
We never got much farther than that. But Kyle is like, all right, fine. We'll ask some questions. Like no one has any questions to ask. And Kyle's like, fine, I'll ask questions. And then what's the first one? Like, is everybody going to get along here?
Like, bitch, you know everybody's not going to get along, especially because you're about to stir the pot about Instagram. So why are you asking? What
was her second question?
I don't remember.
Oh, like something along the... Wasn't it about Instagram? Like, why did Garcelle and Sutton unfollow Erica on Instagram or something like that?
Yeah, did she ask the Ouija board? I don't remember.
I think she did.
She would.
I mean, whatever it is, it led to a conversation about the whole Instagram thing. So, we kind of flash back a little bit to when Garcelle followed Kyle after was it Garcelle's first season?
Yes.
Kyle said, Garcelle, you didn't pay me for this charity thing. Garcelle was very offended because, like stepping out on a bill brought along what Garcelle thought were some microaggressions from Kyle, and that Kyle wouldn't have said this to any of her white castmates. And so Garcelle unfollowed her because she was offended. And Garcelle said, like, that was emotional reaction for me. And just like this is an emotional reaction for me. And to be fair, like, I don't blame her for unfollowing people because it's such like a low level of, I don't know, like showing your allegiance, your friendship, who you care about. Like, I don't
Just
know,
like where you stand.
yeah, we podcasted together for how long and like didn't follow each other on Instagram just
I know.
because like neither of us were like, oh yeah, let's
I
add
know.
each
I just
other.
never think about asking people or like following people. I don't know. I just never think about it. I work with people, like a ton of people, and they're all like, oh yeah, I follow this person on Instagram. I'm like, oh yeah, me too. But we're never like, oh wait, we don't follow each other. It just like never comes up in
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. And I get like in the celebrity world that it is a very easy way to tell like who's mad at who.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
but it kind of sucks because like okay, if you're doing that for your own mental health of like I don't want to see this person, like yeah, sure
Right.
there's some muting options and all this, but like what does it matter if they follow someone or not?
So these women are in their 50s.
Right, go back to MySpace, like rearrange your top
Right.
8.
Right. Right. That's kind of like what this feels like.
Mhm. So we talked a bit about that, but then it turned back towards Sutton again, like surprise, surprise,
What a
that
surprise.
Sutton felt like no one defends her and it's just her
Mm-hmm.
except for Garcelle. And she's like, not a single one of you said anything when Erica called me a cunt last year. Like,
Yep.
how do you want me to feel about that?
Especially
And
when Kyle is there fighting about unfollowing Erica on Instagram. Like,
mhm,
why do we care about this so much? Why are you
right.
taking such a why are you putting your flag in the sand here, but you can't like someone called someone who's supposed to be your good friend a cunt on national television and you're fine with that.
Right. And especially like the Instagram thing is kind of a passive move. Like
Right.
is not to someone's face
Right.
where everybody sat idly when
Mhm.
Erica called Sutton that.
Yeah.
But here comes big bad Diana
Yeah.
saying, well, it's because you are one about Sutton being a cunt. And Erica loses her shit thinking this is funny, and everyone else kind of sits
Yeah.
there in silence. So from here, the conversation goes on to like, okay, why don't you like Sutton?
Yeah.
And Diana says she's never going to forgive Sutton. Diana made a comment that did resonate with me, though. Not in terms of like, you should hate Sutton or whatever, but I do understand this line of thinking. And so I'm wondering what you think about it.
Mhm.
She says that she'll never forgive Sutton for the miscarriage comments, specifically because Sutton said to Diana, I've had 2 miscarriages. And Diana said, like, listen, miscarriages are very personal. Like, you even had 2 of them that nobody else knew about. And so for you to weaponize miscarriages, like my miscarriage against me, I'll just never forgive you for that. And
Yeah.
that point made some sense to me where it's like, this is kind of something you've held close to the chest where no one else in this group knows it, but it's okay for you to like kind of come at me about it. I was like, okay, this to me is at least reasonable in terms of like why you could be upset about it. Along with everything outside of it, like that's a whole other story, but I didn't think of it that way until Diana said that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. The comment in question is her saying, "Thought you were on bed rest, but now you're here," or whatever.
Yeah. What I mean, it was kind of like that whole conversation
Yeah,
because Sutton was even like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like nothing we talked about it. Sutton didn't need to bring up
yeah,
Diana's miscarriage in any way. Like it
yeah,
just felt unnecessary.
yeah. Um, yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I just think at that point, Diana already didn't like Sutton, so anything Sutton would have said, whether or not it
Mhm.
was supportive or not, I think it would have been a disaster. I do think Sutton has apologized. I don't think she meant it. I'm sure in the way that it came out. As we know, she's just like very clumsy with her
Mhm.
words, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that the one thing I don't think Sutton should have ever said was the thing about the bed rest, but it is confusing to say I'm on bed rest and my doctor said I can't leave and I'm bleeding and blah blah blah, and then just show up at a party in full glam like the next day. It's
Mhm.
confusing.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
So, I mean, I can understand why Sutton would have wanted to say something, but because it's tied to her reproductive health, she probably shouldn't have said anything at the time. But she's apologized
Yeah.
a bunch of times, like a number of times.
A lot of times.
Yeah. And at the lunch or dinner or whatever she had at Garcelle's house, she was saying like, okay, maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll give it a try or whatever with Sutton. And then the next day or whenever, however long later this was, it was like scorched earth against Sutton again.
No, I agree. And I think that if Diana had brought up this concern in this way earlier, then maybe the conversation now is different. I just never thought of it from the way that Diana just presented it in terms of like, how personal it is and still to use that. It's like, okay, I could see myself also being upset about that as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, Diana doesn't like Sutton, doesn't want to like Sutton. She doesn't care to ever like Sutton. So no matter what happens, like everything's just going to be a big deal with her.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's where the episode ends. We did mention the preview. We have Erica flipping out. We've got Dorit not staying at the mansion anymore. Seems like we're going to get some drama next week.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things about the end of the episode that stuck out to me. Is one, Kathy's just over it. She was just like putting her head back. Like, are we kidding? Like, it's Instagram. Who cares? And Sutton was trying to make the point that nobody stood up for me when this person called me a cunt. And then she was called a cunt again in that moment. And not one person said a word to Diana about it, other than Kyle saying, Sutton, you can defend yourself. When it's like, what about all of you that are sitting, like, do you all think that this is appropriate?
I mean, they've all done the same thing to Crystal, which is like, just let her drown and then blame her for not being able to swim.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's like, you guys threw her in the deep end. There's no need for this.
Yeah. I'm ready for the season to be done. I can't stand this cast.
Same. But let's transition into the online component, because we're living
in this cast.
We're living in a whole nother world in the online component.
We are.
So from what I understand, Jax, who is Garcelle's son, was just like being DM'd awful comments.
No, he was being there were comments on on all of his posts. So essentially there were on Diana's Instagram, there were like a ton of bot comments seeming like people were coming out of the woodwork to all of a sudden support Diana against all these other women. And then at the same time, Jax, who's 14, was getting all of these comments from bots on his Instagram saying horrible things about his brother, saying horrible things about Garcelle, a lot of like microaggression-y racist comments, and they were all very supportive of Diana and Erica in Jax's comments, and just calling Garcelle disgusting, talking about Oliver's addiction issues, so much to the point where he had to post on his story and to say like, I'm 14 and this is my first day of high school, and instead of like enjoying my first day of high school, I have these people like attacking me on my Instagram. And then Bravo came out with a statement saying, we stand with Jax or whatever. I don't really know. Their statement was very like non-committal, as usual. They really don't do the most when they should. And all the housewives reposted it, but they all reposted it saying, well, all of our kids are getting harassed, which like, I don't want to hear that shit, because Garcelle's son is 14 years old, where Rinna's kids are adults. Erica is also posting about like, well, people are commenting saying, well, no one cared when people were coming for Erica's son during the Black Lives Matter protests for being a police officer, which he is a full-grown adult man.
That made me so mad when I saw that.
And Erica's just reposting and going like, exactly. Like, what world are we living in? Rinna's kids are like storylines on the show. Your daughter was dating an adult man, Scott Disick, for a year at least, until she became of age, and that was fine. But now you want to like weaponize her as if she's like this little baby getting attacked on the internet when you've used her eating disorder as a storyline for how many seasons? Like, it's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? It's not about your kids. It's about Jax, specifically. It's about Jax and what's happening to Jax.
So apparently Lisa Rinna removed everything from her Instagram that has to do with Real Housewives.
Including the post about Jax that she reposted in support. She removed that post.
And in addition, someone else noticed that Garcelle has not done like any promotion of Real Housewives in the last like at least week or so.
Since all of this stuff started happening with Jax, she hasn't posted. I don't think she's posted anything at all, let alone about the show, but I think that she hasn't posted anything.
I think it's not even just posting. I think like in appearances and stuff in other places, she's just not doing, like, she isn't bringing up Real Housewives.
Meanwhile, Diana is continuously posting about Garcelle all over her Instagram and just dragging her, which is interesting because now you're coming for Garcelle when this whole time you were coming for Sutton. What did Garcelle do to you?
Right.
I don't understand it. And I know a lot of the housewives, because of the support that they showed, or the fake support that they showed to Jax in this moment, a lot of people were coming for the wives of Beverly Hills, where Teresa Giudice and what's her name, Jennifer Aydin, posted very nice statements of support for Garcelle and Jax, which they didn't make it about their kids. They made it specifically about Jax and Garcelle. And everyone's like, how sad is it that the women of New Jersey are the ones that are the only ones that are posting reasonable statements about this? And her castmates won't even come to her defense.
Leave kids alone. Like,
right.
All of this. And I mean, do we think that Rinna got the bots?
Oh, well, here's the other thing. So Rinna accused, first of all, I think she said like it seemed like something Kathy would do. And now she's accusing Lisa Vanderpump of getting the bots, which is just like, you are actually unhinged. First of all, Lisa Vanderpump and Garcelle are friendly. I don't know if I would go so far as to say they're friends. They're friendly. Lisa Vanderpump has been off the show for a number of years. She has nothing to do with any of that. Why would you think, first of all, to say Kathy got the bots when Kathy doesn't even know how to use a phone, let alone like hire bots. And now you're saying Lisa Vanderpump got the bot. Like, there's something wrong with you, Lisa Rinna. There's something wrong with you.
Also, Oliver is on Vanderpump Rules.
Oh yeah, there's some drama there as well. Yeah. So I don't know. To wrap up the bot, to talk about Lisa Rinna for a second before we jump to Oliver. The theory is that Lisa Rinna's off the show, which I'm thrilled if that's the case. But she was also posting like DMs of people saying like, I'm going to keep the show. I'm going to keep all my posts positive. I'm never commenting on Real Housewives again. Like, seems like she's done with the show. She may have been like pre-fired before the reunion. I don't even know.
So do you think she's not going to be at the reunion?
No, I think she's gonna. I think they're all going to be at the reunion. Okay. Diana has said she'll be at the reunion, but who knows? But I think the decision probably has already been made that she and Diana are not coming back. I would assume.
Fine by me.
Totally fine by me.
It's a good start. There's a couple others that we could chop, but these first cuts could
just
be fine.
Get rid of all of them except for Sutton. Even Crystal. Keep Crystal. I find Crystal interesting. I don't feel like she had a chance to really do much this season because of just. Which I don't know why. Nothing else is going on this season, so you would think that she would have a chance to have a storyline, but it's just, I don't know. And cast around them. Cast around Garcelle, Crystal, and Sutton. Maybe bring some old people back. Who knows? But
apparently, though, on like the after show or whatever, not Andy's, but the like after show of Beverly Hills, that Sutton was saying like, I mean, Crystal was saying like Sutton is difficult to get along with. Like she kind of was like echoing the same opinions of the other side. So I don't know. I thought they're friends, but it's too much to keep up with.
I think they have their ups and downs in their friendship.
It's not like it has been like anything's been said on the show that would cause them to, oh, you said this in your confessional or whatever type of thing. So I don't know, but Beverly Hills, boring. Beverly Hills, internet drama, unnecessary. But here we are.
Oliver's getting into it. So Oliver, I guess, is going to be on Vanderpump Rules. I didn't know this until 2 days ago when the world exploded because his wife posted. This is like, I guess, spoilers for the upcoming season of Vanderpump Rules, by the way, if anybody cares. I know we don't talk Vanderpump Rules here, but posted that they're getting a divorce, she and Oliver, because Oliver cheated on her with Raquel, who is James Kennedy's ex-fiance, who also just hooked up with Katie Maloney's ex-husband on the show, apparently, at Sheena and Brock's wedding. Do you watch Vanderpump Rules?
I didn't watch the last season of it. Basically, I haven't seen it since like Jax, Stassi, that whole crew got fired.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's only one season.
I think it's only one season. Yeah.
Because Vanderpump Rules is what got me into Real Housewives because of Lisa Vanderpump. So it's just that, like, I've been on this trek for so long that I really just want to complete it. But that's like one of the top shows that I need to go back to and watch last season, even though I heard it wasn't like that great. It's just more just to be able to have watched it.
Yeah. Well, this season coming up sounds like it's going to be off the rails. But Garcelle was seen filming with Lisa Vanderpump, so I guess we're going to have a crossover, and Garcelle might be on Vanderpump Rules. I don't know. But Garcelle also unfollowed. Oliver's wife is putting it all out there on the internet. She's even like, I haven't filed for divorce yet, but I'm going to file. She's like giving like minute by minute updates on her Instagram story. It's wild. But Garcelle, she also posted that Garcelle unfollowed her, which like, I guess that's going to happen when you're putting her son's business out all over the internet.
Right.
In the midst of everything else going on with their family.
It's not an easy time for Garcelle and crew right now.
No, I feel bad for her.
Yeah. Because it's all things that are out of her control that she is tied to directly. Yeah. All right. Anything else we need to know from the land of Beverly Hills? Oh, I do have one thing. I didn't see this as a rumor, but I saw it as a suggestion. And I'm wondering what you think of it. Because old pal Cynthia Bailey is out in the area of Beverly Hills. What do you think of her being added to this cast next season?
I've heard this when she started dating Mike Hill or got engaged to Mike Hill. I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, Cynthia should be on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then at that time, they never had like a wife leave one city and go to another one, which now they have done with Taylor Armstrong, who's filming for the OC. So I guess there's a precedent for it now. If she has a relationship with any of these women, I'm open for it. If they're just like shoehorning her in just to have her there, then, well, I guess Kyle she has a relationship with, but not a good one. So maybe, I'd be open to it. Bring her on as a friend of, see how she does. I don't think we need her full time.
Yeah, I would be interested to see it. I always like Cynthia. She's always been like good at being friends with people and level-headed, but she does have that experience with Kyle where she did not appreciate Kyle's comments during the Bailey Q on their girls trip. So I mean that's like an inherent place of drama though. So
if Kyle's going to stay on, let's bring on people that aren't friends with her so we can finally make her feel the heat.
Yeah.
I saw someone's been reposting the Amsterdam dinner and I retweeted it on my timeline and it's in full. I guess someone paid for like Twitter Blue or whatever it's called. So they post the full video. And I've wanted to watch it maybe every night before I go to bed as like something to tuck me in because Kim Richards, the way that she handles herself at that dinner, this is who we need back. We need Kim Richards back. I'm a full Kim Richards truther now. Like we need Kim. When we lost Kim, we lost the show. That's when the show went off the rails. Like we need her back. Nobody made Rinna shaking her boots like Kim. Nobody made Kyle run out of a room like Kim did. And like she really got these ladies on edge. And once she left, it was all over for us. Kyle had the reins. Lisa Vanderpump was like the final nail or like the spike. She took the spike and she killed the last vampire. Yeah. And I want them all back. I want them back to make, if Kyle's going to stay, we need these women back to make her feel uncomfortable. But I highly suggest go watch that scene now. Knowing Rinna, knowing all of these women the way that we know them, and it's gold. It's gold.
Yeah, it makes more sense. All right. Well, let's move into our last city, which is Atlanta. So we've got 2 weeks of Atlanta to cover, and we're gonna travel back to post Jamaica. So this is right when the women get back from their Jamaica trip. We check in with Candy. Ace is already acting. I don't tend to find little kids cute, but his whole like little like the peanut butter stuck to the roof of my mouth thing just made me laugh. Like I don't know why, but
I
I
don't
was
honestly, I don't even remember it from 2
yeah.
weeks ago, so
He's
I guess it didn't
I
make
don't
much
know
of an
why I
impression.
remember it. All I wrote is Ace's acting, and I just for some reason remember him being like, "The peanut butter stuck to the roof of my mouth." So yeah. Um Drew had to have surgery on her Achilles, and after her surgery, we check in on her at her house, and somewhat surprisingly, the two people who come to visit are Sheree and Sonia, who she's arguably had the most like tumultuous relationships with most recently.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird.
I think it kind of shows what Sheree has been trying to do, which she hasn't been as much of a bone collector this
No, she
season.
hasn't. No.
Um, and in the same way, like Sonya does show up for people. Like, is she annoying? Yes, but she does show up, and
Mhm.
so I guess I like wasn't surprised, but also was like I don't know how to describe it. It was just like okay, I wouldn't expect it to be. Maybe I expect Kenya there. Sheree
Yeah.
didn't. I don't know. It's just it was kind of nice though because like I feel like it made Drew feel like good in a way, but not that I really care about Drew feels because I would love for
Yeah.
her to knee scooter her way out of Atlanta. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah. But in this conversation, Sonia talks about the last dinner in Jamaica because Drew wasn't able to go, and Sonia admits she's like, I tried to come for Kenya and Kenya got me. Like I was not
Yeah,
prepared for
Kenya's
Kenya.
definitely gonna get her every single time. There's no way that Sonya's ever gonna be able to successfully come for Kenya. She's a seasoned professional.
I I kind of admit or I kind of like appreciate Sonya admitting it though, where she
Yeah.
didn't try to sugarcoat. She's like, nope, she ate me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
She did not try to present herself in a way where she was bigger than she was. She was just
Mhm.
like, nope, this
Yeah, I
wasn't for
appreciate the
me.
self-awareness.
Yeah. Then we get Sheree giving Sonya some information of like, listen, Kenya was saying that she didn't really appreciate the way that your husband like came across as aggressive and just how he was speaking to women in general or getting involved in women's business. And so Sonya calls Kenya up right there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kenya seemed like she had just been awoken out of like a 3-day nap.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't she kind of just like, "Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah,
Call
like
you back. Bye."
I need to go wake up and then I can talk to you.
Yeah.
So not much came from this, and
Mhm.
quite frankly, I don't think anything else really resulted from this. So just like if you think of last week and this week, we didn't really have any fallout from here.
No, I think just at the dinner later for Marlo and Kenya's birthday, she was like, "You wish you had a man like mine," and everybody
Oh,
was like, "Oh,"
right. The
and then that's
shade
it.
game or whatever.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was it.
All right. So Sonia tried. She
Mhm.
tried.
Try it again.
Yeah.
Try,
If
try again.
you're going to take swings at Kenya, you better be ready for the quick rebuttal.
Yeah.
Next, we meet. I'm really laughing. Next, we go to Sheree with She by Sheree and her fashion show, like manager, producer, whatever we want to call her, Rawan.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so they are doing a model call. And
Yes.
Kenya shows up. Kenya's first scene ever on Real Housewives is
At
basically
the
the same
Bailey
thing with
agency.
yeah, with Cynthia Bailey like 9 years ago.
With the
So,
assistant who was, like, on Love Is Blind season 1, by
oh
the way. I
really?
forget his name, yeah. But
I
he
didn't realize that.
I forget the guy's name.
I know who you're talking about though.
Mhm.
And even before Kenya gets there, Sheree's like, listen, my friend's a little shady. Like, sorry in advance. But
Yeah.
Kenya brought a whole goddamn like willow tree worth of shade.
I'm
Like,
sorry, but Kenya I feel like Kenya was right. Like, what is Rowan doing? A lot of nothing, it seemed like. I was on Kenya's side here.
oh, I'm not disagreeing in the slightest. I
Yeah.
think that like the stuff that Kenya was saying made a whole ton of sense.
Yeah.
But Rowan, like, kept going back at Kenya. She did
Right.
not back down when
No, she did not.
which was just hilarious to me. Like, anytime Kenya made a comment, Rowan would either defend herself or be bitchy back.
Yeah. Yes.
The part that got me the most was near the end of the model walk where I can't remember the exact exchange, but it was something along the lines of like, good for you. And she's like, yeah, good for me. And she's like, oh, celebrate. And she's like, confetti.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Needless to say, I do not think either of them will be sending each other holiday cards.
I
But
do not think so either.
that whole exchange was just so funny.
And this is where Sheree says that she spent $1 million on this fashion show already.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the episode, Kenya was like, well, you said you spent $1 million. She's like, I never said that. But she did say, she said it here. Because she was saying that she can't afford real models or whatever.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to be one that counts someone's money, but someone needs to count Sheree's.
Yeah, someone needs to.
Because it doesn't add up how
No.
just none of it. Like, your expenses, your lifestyle, the job you don't have, like, what that the book you sold in 2017, because I recently just went to your Twitter, cannot be selling that much still to, like,
I don't even know if it's all that much then.
maybe.
Probably not.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was I have concerns about her finances. That's all. I have a feeling like it would just be sad if, one day, unfortunately, when Sheree passes away, like, her 2 kids are like, "We're what in debt? We have to pay this much?
Right.
Mom, what the fuck were you doing?"
I know. Good luck to them.
Yeah, it just seems like something is missing. But after the model walk, we go to Ralph's photo shoot, and also I wrote about it. Oh, they talk about Drew's get well party, which is actually a surprise party for Marlo and Kenya. So that's where we find out about this.
Yeah.
And I mean, that happens soon after. So everybody shows up thinking that it's a party for Drew.
Yep.
And there was some balloons, some streamer things hanging from the ceiling. Sheree was the co-party thrower here, but has been so busy with She by Sheree. And when she shows up, Drew's like, hey, you owe me $1,000 for this.
Yeah.
And Sheree's like, no, I don't.
Yeah. There's a lot of back and forth about this too on the internet. Like,
yeah, they were
been going at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Sheree said somewhere that they agreed on an amount and then Drew went over that amount. So that's why Sheree's like, well, you decided to go over, so I'm not paying for what you went over for.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Sheree is spinning it. So who knows, but
that's logical to me, with the exception of Kenya and Marlo are 2 of Sheree's closest friends, and like,
yes,
I don't know, you're on Real Housewives. I get that you're trying to like throw this whole thing, but Drew's kind of done this too, where like Drew nickels and dimes things, and Sheree does in different ways, where there's nothing that was at that party that would make you be like, okay, the 2 of you together can't afford this.
Oh, yeah. What? I mean, how much of the balloons that are hanging from the ceiling?
Right. So the fact that there's like some hostility because of this, like, I think Drew also needs to have her money counted as well.
Well, yeah. And there's also, I mean, it comes up in the finale at the She by Sheree show, and Drew was like, is this where my $800 went? And I'm like, you're really getting mad about $800? Just like ask production for it.
Right. And
it's not like it's $20,000. It's like $800. It's not that serious. For me, yes. For you on Real Housewives, $800 should not matter to you.
I agree.
Like, I don't need to watch people getting upset over $800 on my TV show if it's for aspirational purposes.
For 2 friends, like, that's $400 each.
Right.
That's really not that bad.
Right.
For a surprise party, $400.
Right.
Okay. Per person
exactly.
that you've decided to throw. I don't know. it just like it's kind of funny because it kind of goes along with just everything that Sheree, like we've heard about Sheree. And
Mhm.
then, I mean, but Drew's not that Drew doesn't pay people, but Drew, like last year for the Secret Santa thing, it was supposed to be a gift worth $1,000. And like she didn't buy a gift worth $1,000 because she
Mhm.
brought one of her wigs instead. And just, I don't know, that there's been other times where like Kenya's like, I'm not splitting a check that's like less than $100. Like, no, I'm not that poor.
Right. That's exactly. That's what it feels like. It's like, okay, at a certain point, it's just like, I'll just get it this time. Like,
Drew
it doesn't
feels
matter. You
like,
get me next time.
yeah, Drew feels like she makes the same amount of money as me, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yes. I totally agree. I totally agree. And like, that's not what I need to be watching on TV.
I mean, yeah, if you want to see me, a middle class person on television, like I can spend my money like Drew does as well.
Right. Totally.
Venmo me. But um Marlo and Kenya get to the surprise party around the same time. Kenya like purposely closes the door in Marlo's face.
Yeah.
Uh but Marlo is appreciative of this party. Drew is able to
Mhm.
get Marlo's goddaughter and best friend up from Florida for it, which is cool.
Yes. That was cool. That was cool.
And she also got Kenya's cousin to come in for it. So I liked that they brought in these people to show like, oh, it wasn't just, hey, it's my turn to throw a party
Right.
on the show. Like they put a little bit more into it. And Marlo was super appreciative of it. Kenya wasn't as appreciative because she's like, I don't like this woman. Why do I want to
Yeah.
share my
She's like,
birthday
why do I have
party
to
with
share my
her?
birthday? Yeah. Which is kind of fair.
Yeah. I think it was like good idea, but you have to know your audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the dinner portion of this birthday party, the topic of She by Sheree comes up, and it really turns into, I don't know if intervention is too strong of a word, but a lot of people just being like, you have to get your shit together. You
Yeah.
cannot fail a second time. You need to
Yeah.
figure this out. And um, I'm glad that happened
Me too. Me too.
because I don't know if we would have gotten what we see in the next episode if that dinner didn't happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we would have either. Something came together. I don't know what it was spurred by, but something came together, and I'm glad that it did.
I thought it was interesting because Marla made a comment during it. She's like, Candy, you know people, like call people up and
Right.
have them help, which was funny because like what 3 episodes ago she's like, you're only known in Atlanta, and Candy's like, bitch, I'm
Yeah, that is
worldwide,
funny.
and now
That is
Marla's
funny.
like, Candy, you're the most connected person here.
Yeah.
But I do think that there probably came some pressure of like this whole table is now no longer taking the like we believe in you route
Right.
and
And
is
they're like,
like
you got to get it
you
together.
have to do this or you're going to fail twice at this, like this
Yeah.
is, and that's not going to be good. So
Yeah.
um we're left to see how that goes in the following week's episode, which was yesterday. But before
Hmm.
we leave last week's episode, Sheree goes and gets a nice little coffee, and who's she meeting up with but Apollo,
Apollo. Here he is.
the professional model.
Professional model
So
Apollo.
he was meant to do. Um, Apollo actually gives us a couple of like worthwhile confessionals in the next episode. So,
I
uh,
like Apollo. I know I'm
yeah,
not supposed to, but I kind of do. I mean, I know that scene with him and Phaedra in the garage was like not great.
hmm
Um, and like, he did go to jail for whatever crimes he committed. I don't know what he actually did to go to jail,
it
but
was something about money.
yeah. Listen, who am I to get mad at a financial crime? I stand Teresa Giudice. What am I, like I can look past a financial crime.
So
In some cases, I'm not looking past Jen Shaw and I'm not looking past Tom Girardi.
you mean Joe Girardi?
Yeah, Joe
And
Girardi.
so the thing that like I noticed the most though is like Apollo's gotten older. You can see
Yes,
it
he
in
has
his
aged.
face.
He's aged.
And like obviously we're all getting older. It was just I mean, especially the women of Atlanta. If you look at
Ageless.
season 1 Sheree versus season now Sheree,
I
like
feel like she looks older in season 1 than she does now.
yeah. Um I feel like Candy's maybe like body is a little bit differently built than it was, but like otherwise, like she doesn't look like older in her face or anything. And obviously, like, women tend to go through more cosmetic procedures than men might to help save this, but like it was just very noticeable in terms of Apollo's face. And no shade, no shots being fired, just an observation. But Sheree's
He's aging gracefully.
Yeah.
He's still got it.
Yeah. Sheree asked him to be a model in the show, and he agrees. And she also is this one. Do they talk about Tyrone last week or this week?
They do talk about him last week. Yeah. They also say that they've been like close friends for years. And I'm like, have you though?
No, I don't believe that.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, they talk a little bit about Tyrone and which again just kind of like alludes to some things to come in this upcoming episode. So to switch into this week's episode, we start off with, and I'm gonna be fully transparent here. I was making a 40 slide presentation during this, so my notes may not be great. My recollection, even though I watched it like 2.5 hours ago, I was trying to multitask. So we start with a show where Marlo's nephews are home. She is happy to have them there. She talks about how the boys miss, at least the older one, I think, says like, yeah, I need structure, and I'm glad that I'm like have my own shower, and like I have like a clean shower, my own bed, and so as difficult as a decision it was for Marlo, the boys learned something from it and maybe come across a little bit more appreciative of what they were getting. So Marlo brings the boys over to Sonya's husband, Ross, and they do man things like changing tires.
Yeah. Changing the oil and changing tires or something like that.
Those are two things I want to learn how to do because I just feel like they're useful. I feel like you could save so much money by being able to change your own oil. So, Ross, if you want to teach me how to do man things as well, come on, I mean, like, I know my dad knows how to do both of those things, but I don't know if it's the same thing for you. Like, I can't learn from my dad or, like, just parents in general because, like, you annoy me. So, but the closest thing I had to a learning experience was when my dad tried to teach me how to drive a standard, but the issue was I'd only driven, like, an automatic car maybe like 2 or 3 times at this point, and my dad brings me to our high school parking lot in a standard, and he starts off being like, you just have to do this, this, and this. I like stalled out, ran the car into a snowbank, and by the end of it he's like, fucking idiots know how to do this, Kari, why can't you? And I'm
my god.
So I've never allowed him to teach me anything.
Understandable.
But Ross, just let me know. I'll even pay you. We can like task rabbit this. Just teach me how to do this. And then we check in a few times with She by Sheree. So we're seeing the panic because she was supposed to have 22 items. And at this moment in the beginning of the episode, she only had 5. So she's like, okay, if we don't have this, it won't be a fashion show, just be a fashion preview, which still would have been a fail. She could not have only had 5 items.
No. When they were saying only 5, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be really bad.
This isn't a fashion show. This is just like, you can do that on a TikTok. Like,
right.
Here's my haul. So after this, we catch up with Marlo and her mom. This is our first time seeing Marlo's mom, correct?
Yes, it is.
And we know that Marlo had a tumultuous childhood where she was in foster care and due to her mom doing drugs, and even their relationship now isn't the best. Marlo says that her mom really contacts her when she needs money.
She said it about her whole family, really.
Yeah. Which has to be tough because it's like you've managed to come up, but it doesn't, like, there's only so much money. So, but yeah, we get like the introduction of it. However, we get more Marlo's mom after.
Yeah. Well, we see that her mom does not have her teeth in,
Mm-hmm.
and that I guess she lost the teeth, and Marlo said she bought her dentures. So
Yeah.
that's already like not a great sign
Yeah.
of things and how they stand with her mom.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me that, I mean, like, good on Marlo for allowing us to see this.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say that.
I I don't know if, like, maybe, like, I don't know how to phrase this without seeming rude. Maybe next season, I would have liked to have seen this versus, like, the final episode of this season. Like, unless we're, like, building into more, is Marlo trying to work with, I don't know, just, like, I appreciate it. I think it puts, like, it showcases Marlo's vulnerability. It lets us see a side of Marlo, helps us understand Marlo more. I wish it either happened earlier in this season because I feel like a lot of her behaviors this season now make more sense when you get to look back on it,
Mhm.
or give us her at, like, the beginning of next season. So, like, are you gonna build more of your mom in? Like,
Yeah.
is this part of your storyline? Or are we doing, like, a last minute Hail Mary to be like, "No, this is, like, I'm not a bitch. I just am very sensitive because look at my mom." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if the I don't know, maybe it was just the timing of
yeah, of
her
everything.
visit or whatever, but I really liked seeing this from Marlo because I feel like no other housewife is this vulnerable with
Mhm.
like their home life or their past or their family. And I think Kenya has been in the past, but I think it's just a little different because we never got a chance to meet these people in Kenya's lives where we've heard
Mhm.
so much about Marlo's family and now we're actually getting to meet them and understand the impact. And Marlo goes even further to talk about a house that she bought for her
Mhm.
family and why she had to kick them out of the house. And, people were selling drugs out of the house and her mom was missing for days. And that has to be really hard and traumatic. And we find out that Michael and William were there during that and they called Marlo to come get them. So it's like, this is a much deeper
Yeah, that's
situation than I think
another
any of us
reason,
really knew.
like, I want either it just felt, like, so crammed into this last episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't take away anything it gave us about Marlo in this last episode, but, like, this is actually something I would like to see more of.
Yeah, me too. And I give credit to Marlo for being vulnerable enough to show this
Mhm.
to us because I think a lot of housewives wouldn't show us
Yeah.
that. And I appreciate it because I think a lot of people can probably relate to situations like that with their family. Maybe not in the same
To the
way, but
extent, yeah.
yeah. I appreciate her for showing that.
Yeah, and, I mean, let's skip to the part where Candy ends up meeting her mom.
Yeah. Hmm.
I was kind of thrown off by that at first, where it's like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
hi, Candy." And also Candy took me back when it was just like, "Hi, Marla's mom. So when did you start doing drugs?" It just felt like a very
Yeah. I
immediate
was like,
question.
oh my God, what?
Mhm.
Yeah, I was surprised, but I mean, Candy came in at a time where obviously the situation went awry with Marlo
Yeah.
and her mom, and Marlo was upset when Candy got there. And it's funny because Candy said, I mean, Marlo said a little earlier, if we can have these conversations in public, things, they won't get out of pocket. But when we
Mhm.
have, conversations behind closed doors, and this was a little bit more of like a closed door conversation, it seemed.
Yeah.
And Marlo's mom, it sounds like, had asked her about a guy coming, some boyfriend or something, who Marlo alluded to doing drugs
Mhm.
or being on drugs, wanted him to come by. And Marlo was like, this triggers me because this has been my whole life is like you put these people above me basically and
Mhm.
they're like bad decisions for you and you finally come to visit me and now you want to bring a guy around who's bad news most likely.
Mhm.
And then Candy walks in essentially at that
Yeah.
moment.
So I thought it was interesting because Marlo made a comment along the lines of, like, "I want you to meet my mom so you have a better understanding of me."
Hmm.
And, I mean, Candy and Marlo have not had the most kumbaya season by any means. So,
No.
I think it's big of Marlo to accept this, or to not to accept this, to offer this. I also
Hmm.
think it's big of Candy to accept it because
Yeah.
if you recall, Marlo's way of going at Candy was talking about Candy's mom
Yep.
and
Yep.
her relationship with Todd and all this stuff, which, like, we have a whole little scene with Mama Joyce, which I
I know
can't
she's
stand
your
that woman.
favorite.
I can't fucking stand her. So I just thought it was like, I thought it was interesting for her to have Candy over. I don't know who else she could have called that would have, I don't know. Like, I find that decision interesting. Obviously, she's not gonna call Kenya over, and I feel like Kenya would have taken it away like, "Oh, cool, you have a mom," versus like, "I
Yeah.
don't." Um, we don't need Sonya or Drew there, and then, like, what is if Sheree's over, I don't know, like, what impact that has, so I just found the decision interesting, that's all. I don't know, like, how to expand on that.
Mhm. I think it feels like Candy and Marlo have had a relationship, or their issues with their relationship have been a little deeper than some of the others. Like, Marlo was upset with Candy for wanting to give hand-me-downs to the charity
Mhm,
that, Marlo was running. And she was, Candy made a comment about her nephew. So I could understand her wanting to be like, hey, maybe this will give you more of an insight as to like why that shit that you said bothered me. Like,
mhm,
meet my mom. Like, I want you to meet my mom. Whereas like all the other drama was kind of like surface level.
mhm. Yeah, and I mean, Candy took it all in stride and seemed
Mm-hmm.
to be, like, genuinely interested in meeting her mom
Yeah.
and the conversation that happened, so, um, yeah, I liked that her mom was there. I either wish that it was, like, earlier in the season or maybe next season because, like, I just felt we got so much, like, heavy Marlowe stuff crammed into the season finale, and
Yeah.
especially where, like, at the She by Sheree show, which we'll get to in a second, everyone was, like, so happy for Sheree that I would have loved to see a little bit more from that.
Yeah.
If it meant, like, where do we put Marlo's mom somewhere else, like, not that I don't know, and for a season finale to me, it's like, "Whoa, we are introducing something
Mm-hmm.
heavy here in the last
Yeah.
43 minutes of the season. Why now?" But, like, again, I appreciate it that it happened, and, like,
Yeah.
good on Marlo for allowing everybody to see that.
Yeah. It makes me want Marlo to like have her own show, like a spinoff like Candy has, just so we can learn more about her. Cause I feel like
Mhm.
she's such a complex woman
Yeah.
that I would just love to know more about her. And she seems willing to share a lot about her life and her family. Um, and I'm interested to know more. Obviously, I don't think we're going to get a spinoff for her, but that just makes me feel like she will definitely be back next
Yeah.
season because I feel like we got, as a full time housewife, because I feel like we got so much from her
Mhm.
this season, and she finally like really opened up to us. Where like the past couple of years of Marlo was just like she would come in and there would be drama and she would like say some funny shit and then that would be it. But like this year we really got to know her, and I hope that we get her back as a full time housewife next season. I feel like we will, but I want to hear I just want to know more about her life and more about her.
Marlo not coming back next season, like, didn't even cross my mind in the
Yeah, I
slightest,
mean,
like.
she pretty much, her and Sheree, I feel like carried the season,
Mhm.
and Kenya always does. But I just feel like their storylines were the two like anchors.
Yeah.
It was She by Sheree and it was Michael and William.
Mhm. Um, Speaking of Kenya, we had Kenya at CVS and her hair care products are there. So
Yes.
we heard Candy being like, listen, my stuff isn't even CVS. Like, this is awesome. And they had a little like display thing at CVS where Kenya Moore shows up and um, everyone's there and they talk about the She by Sheree event coming up. So not everyone. It was
Mhm.
Candy,
Sonia,
Sonya,
Drew.
Drew that were there. So 4 of the
That's it.
6.
Yeah.
Sheree wasn't there, and obviously Marlo wasn't there. But
Yeah.
um, my favorite part of it was at the end when Kenya's like, "All right, why don't we
Hmm.
leave in style or whatever?" Kenya more hair
Yeah, that was
care.
great. That was great.
And that was funny, but good for Kenya. So it seems like we had some business qualms during the beginning
Yeah.
and middle of the season, and she spent the extra money, made it made it happen, and now she's in 5,000 CVS's
Yeah,
across the
good for
country.
her.
So um I will look for that the next time I go and pick up my prescription. After the Kenya part, we get the Mama Joyce part. So, okay. Mama Joyce, here's my question for you. You want Candy, your daughter, who is younger than you by however many years,
Yeah.
to make you the beneficiary when she is married to Todd, and they've been married for, or at least in a relationship for what, 10 years? Like,
Yeah,
they've
they've
been,
been together a while at this point.
and you want her to put you as like the person over Todd,
Well, it sounds like Todd's not even going to be the person for her trust. It's going to be Don Juan.
which is also crazy.
Yeah. That is almost crazier to me. When Mama Joyce was like, Don Juan and someone else, I was like, she's absolutely right, Don Juan and someone else. But then she's like, and me. I was like, okay, this is just crazy. But she's not wrong. It shouldn't only be Don Juan. Like, I get that you trust this guy, but like, you have to have some kind of failsafe there.
I would expect it to be Riley. Like, Riley's not a dumb person by any means.
Well, also, like, assuming that nothing's gonna happen to them anytime soon, like, Riley will be an adult.
Yeah, that's the
Riley
other thing.
is an adult now, isn't she?
Riley's
She's
been
18?
an adult since she was like 12. She's been
Right.
like one of the most mature kids that we've seen run through.
Right.
She's also smart. Like, didn't she go to like NYU and like wants
Yeah,
to be
I
a
think so.
lawyer and stuff?
I
Like,
think so, yeah.
even in the conversation they had earlier in the season, Riley wasn't presenting anything where it's like, no, I've been waiting for you to die, mom, so I can get this money and
No.
spend it recklessly. Like, I don't know. This whole conversation to me was wild and just like, I don't, Candy just lets her mom talk. And I think that's probably the thing that gets me, where it's like,
Yeah.
how do you let her run her mouth so much that she's saying, no, you should not be putting Todd into anything? Like, he's still trying to make money off of you. That's the only reason why he's with you. When, like, oh, Joyce, that storyline ran out like 7 seasons ago.
Yes, I don't 100% disagree with Mama Joyce here in some areas. I don't think that they're only together so Todd can make money off of her, but I do think, I mean, we saw this earlier in the season. He was like upset that he wasn't part of the show that she was doing. It's like he wanted to be a part of everything. And I'm like, dude, do your own thing. Like, she's not your meal ticket here. Like, get a job, get your own job, get your own job. You don't
Doesn't
need to
he
be
do
doing
stuff?
everything
I
together.
mean, like, I feel like a lot of things they do, it's just they do together. So, like, the restaurants
That's what
and
makes it
that.
feel like he's using her, though. Like, I'm sure that they're
Oh,
happy to do
see,
these things together, but I feel like that feels like he's using her capital to open these businesses.
see, I feel like it's more that their once like romantic relationship has now like kind of gone too businessy. You know what I mean? Where it's like it's
Right.
harder it because they don't separate like church and state, if you will, that
Hmm.
I'm not saying like I understand Todd being like, well, what the fuck? We do everything together. Why are you leaving me out of this one?
Right.
But they do so many of their ventures together that their marriage and like love relationship is probably even more heavily like rooted in business now than ever, that like I don't know, I don't, to me it doesn't seem like a using thing. It's more just like, whoa, wait, of everything that we've done, now you're leaving me out. I don't know, I kind of see it, but I just don't think that he like I've never felt like he was using her, and I just feel like it was her mom being overprotective.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can see that. I feel like this season is really where I'm just like, okay, go. Who cares? You're really complaining about this. Like, you've made so much money because of Candy. Whether or not that's why you're
Mhm.
in it, that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't have had the opportunities that you have now if it weren't for Candy and her money. So, like, let's just pipe down Todd, first of all, because you were just like a production assistant or whatever. He might have
Mhm.
been more than that. I don't know
I
what he
think he
was.
was more than production assistant, but not like
Yeah. Not like
he
that
was
much more.
yeah, lead
Yeah.
producer or whatever.
Yeah. But I also don't agree. I don't disagree with Mama Joyce of like, Riley didn't have a dad and
Mhm.
she grew up all of her life alone, essentially. So, like, maybe the money that you made before Touch, she should get a little bit more. Although she is going to be an adult at that time where, like, the other kids are going to be younger. But she's not wrong in the sense that, like, They have a dad. They grew up with a dad their whole life. Riley got nothing from her dad, like nothing. He barely acknowledges that she exists at this point, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe throw her a couple of extra, or like set up a separate trust for her,
Mm-hmm.
and like put the rest of for the other kids of like what you and Todd made together. I don't disagree.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. I also think it kind of neglects like, is Todd gonna what does Todd have that is separate from Candy? And if Todd were to die tomorrow, does he have anything set up for Riley? Like, I would be curious to know
He
that.
doesn't even sound like he has anything set up for his own daughter.
Yeah.
He like doesn't give her anything. Candy gives her more than he gives her.
Yeah. I don't know. They always talk about like being able to set their kids up well. And I also think that it kind of ignores that, because Candy's said it a few times, like it's not just the people in her house she's supporting. And I mean, like her mom is able to say all this stuff, I think somewhat recklessly, because of the lifestyle that Candy has provided her with. And so I do think it's a little rich for Mama Joyce to be like, well, Todd's only using you for your money. Obviously, like her mom isn't using her for her money, but her mom has greatly benefited.
Oh, 1,000%.
So I think it's just because it's like still continuing when the fact that like they're so far into this relationship and her mom is still talking about Todd this way.
It's never gonna stop. Yeah,
that is unbearable. Stop putting, if she's gonna do it, just stop putting her on TV. Like let her have those conversations. I don't need to see them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I get it. I think there were a couple of things that she said that made sense. Overall, I'm not a Mama Joyce fan by any means, but I think today I really didn't disagree. And I also thought it was really interesting that Candy was like, well, if I die, Todd can't get remarried. Like he can fuck around, but no one's benefiting off of my money, which it's like, then maybe you should have separate situations and like keep your money that you made before Todd with Escape and everything else that you did and all the songwriting that you did, because you made so much money. Maybe just give it all to Riley then.
Yeah.
And Todd can continue benefiting off of your shared assets.
And that's the thing is we don't know like what their financial setup
or Riley
is.
Ace and Blaze, I guess. Not only Riley, but
yeah. We don't know like, do they have separate things and then there's like a mutual account?
I hope they have separate things.
Like 20% of their earnings, or like all of their mutual business earnings come in to one place, but like, so Candy is about to produce a play with Samuel L. Jackson. So like, will that just be Candy's? Like, I'm sure that there's something. They're not, especially Candy is not dumb. Not saying, I don't think Todd's dumb either. I just think that like, I don't know. I also think it kind of sucks that why I get that the conversation is interesting because of the dynamics of like their family, especially, but it's such like a weird conversation to be privy to in a way of like with not having all the information. Like, unless you're going to sit here and give me the basic rundown of like, okay, before Todd and I got married, like Todd has his checking and savings and I have my checking and savings. And then we have like, let me know those details so I know what we're actually fighting over.
Well, that's the thing. And like, what does Mama Joyce know that I don't know? Because if she's going to keep talking, I want to know the whole story. Because obviously there's a reason that a decade later, you're still saying that Todd's using you for the money. So like, what do you know that you're not sharing that you still believe this?
Yeah. But hopefully like this is the end of that whole thing. It kind of feels like they use that to give Candy something to talk about this last like second half of the season, where I feel like she was involved with things and like she had her conflict with Marlo and stuff. I don't know if it was necessary, but we saw it. So in conclusion, I just hate when Mama Joyce is on my screen. I hate it. Afterwards, we are still at the setup of She by Sheree, and Tyrone shows up. And Tyrone tries to bring in this bullshit of like, you were trying to get me arrested. It's against my probation to be filmed. And Sheree was like, what? Like, you could have at least talked to me, told me, but I don't think it is. And then we get a confessional from Apollo who's like, no, section 32 says.
Yeah, that was great. But then also the Chiron at the bottom said not legal scholar under his name, which was incredible. These editors are so funny.
I mean, There's no way that he wasn't prodded to come by producers.
This man is trash. And the reason why is because he left this lady sitting out here waiting, making a fool of herself. In her opinion, I don't think she looked like a fool. I just feel bad for her. Sitting out there waiting for him. We didn't say anything to her over the phone or anything. Didn't say, hey, this is going to put me at risk. So, like, I don't think I'm going to come. Like, let's just cancel it. You could have done that, Tyrone, but you didn't. You let her sit there, and then the pictures were on the blog, and everybody knew about it, and then she was eating her chips, and we all felt bad for her. So, like, you're an asshole. And then you come here on, like, arguably one of the largest days of her life, and you're bringing this bullshit, and then you're not even going to apologize, and you're bringing her this added stress already on a stressful situation. You can fuck right off. You can fuck right off, Tyrone.
I have a public service announcement. If you are the type of person who thinks that your presence in someone's life on a day that is big to them, when you are someone who has been out of the picture for whatever reason, breakup, I don't know, family drama, other reasons, like money, whatever it is, if you think like, oh, it's a good day to reach out is insert important day to that person. Yeah. Birthday, holiday. If you're one of those people, don't do it. No. Call on a random Tuesday. Like it might not be that, like, those days are like big enough in someone's brain that they don't need the extra. So if you're one of those people,
especially if you're going to make it about yourself, like Tyrone made it about, like, you're making it about some other shit. Send her flowers.
Yeah.
Just be support, or just show up and say, we don't need to talk about this right now. Like, I'm just here to support you. I don't want to add stress to your day. I just want to be here to support you. But no, he's trash.
The audacity of him showing up. Because then my other question is like, okay, so you're not on probation anymore. What's changed?
Well, he said he got his ankle bracelet off.
Oh,
his ankle monitor. Because they were like, you're here. Because he shows up the next day, even though she says don't come. Yeah, his ass still showed up 2 times now.
Right. So that was just not necessary. Like,
so not necessary.
But good for Sheree because she didn't fall for it. And
no, she didn't.
We see that even though he shows up for the actual event, she was just like, thanks. That's it. Like,
yeah, and he said, can I talk to you for a second? She said, no, you cannot.
Nope. So good for her. I'm glad that, because like the whole point of her getting back into making She by Sheree a thing was for her to have something to focus on after this heartbreak, after how she felt so like alone, and like she felt stupid because of like allowing him to be him and her life and all this and stuff. And her life coach therapist dude was like, focus on your business. Like this is, and so that was like what this was. For this dude to come walking in, like he had some sort of like, yeah, you're the reason this whole thing is happening. Now get the fuck out.
Right. I don't even want to give him that credit.
Yeah.
Trash behavior.
Yeah. So, fast forward to the night of the She by Sheree event. Like we mentioned, Tyrone shows back up, the big thing of flowers, whatever.
He got from Publix.
And also who shows up is Fashion Show with No Fashions, Dwight.
The song that they made out of this, I want it. I want it to be my ringtone. I want everything. I love it. I'm so excited that it exists. I love Dwight. I'm so excited that we got to see him. I'm just, everybody. We saw everybody. I mean, we saw a lot. Who I missed? I missed Nene and I missed Kim. Like, they should have been there. They should have been there to support Sheree. I know there's questionable legal situations with Nene, I guess, although that suit has been dropped. And I know Kim is probably not like in good graces with those people, but we needed the whole crew. We needed every cast. Where's like Cynthia? Like, Montana? Give me all these women.
I feel like Kim moved. I could be incredibly wrong.
Well, planes exist.
Yeah, true.
Get her ass there.
Yeah, it was. I loved the whole editing of him and just the fashion show with no fashions.
Yes, how dreadful.
So at this point, because the fashion show started over an hour late, it was
2 hours late.
It was 2 hours late. I stopped paying attention to the timeline on the bottom.
Yes. And Dwight was very upset. He was looking at the camera and he was like, "This is crazy. I'm ready to go." He was not thrilled.
So besides at this point when we're waiting for it to start, how many pieces did you think Sheree had?
I was gonna guess like 8.
I was at 5. I was like, this is gonna be there,
I thought she got a couple more overnight or whatever,
but
so I was thinking 8.
how much she ended up with? We don't know how many.
24.
Oh, it was 24.
It was
Okay.
24. Yeah.
Okay. So good for her. Glad she
She
was
had the
able
full
to
show.
pull this together. And I mean, a lot of the women from the cast were like, there's a lot of things I like. Candy was like, there better be a place to buy this now, which there
I have a lot to
wasn't.
say about that.
But
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, the fashion show went off. It was successful. All the women were so happy with Sheree, or for Sheree.
I loved this.
I think something that like how do I explain this? I think a scene like this where everyone, obviously except for Sheree, is happy for like genuinely happy for someone outside of themselves is just like such a genuine scene. And like that was what was happening. Like there was no self-motivation there by those other women, except like Sheree did it. She pulled it off. It's been 14 years in the making. She was made a fool. Like people have used this as a joke against her for like these last decade and a half, but she did it. Good for her. And everyone was just so happy. And that was like, it's a nice touching end to the season.
I loved it. I loved that. Even before the show went off, like they could have complained about how late she was, which like Sonia was kind of like, where are the you know, they were getting a little antsy, which understandable. But you know, it just felt like they all were putting their differences aside, and they were even all getting along when Marlo was like, oh no, I know Tyrone's coming because he's here. And they were all like, oh my God. And it's like Marlo and Kenya were like interacting fine. There was no drama, and it was just like nice. They were there. They showed up, and they genuinely wanted to see Sheree shine, and Sheree shined. That fashion show was great. Everything looked great. The production looked great. The models looked great. Everything was great.
And she even pulled like a Taylor Swift type of launch where at the end of it, it's like, and the website's going live, and they had like the countdown.
It was like in 42 seconds or something like that.
And so like Kenya put out an Instagram story about it, and like the site's live on the internet, and it crashed immediately.
Yeah, I don't know if it's live. It's not live. There are a couple of hiccups, which is unfortunate. I'm rooting for Sheree real hard here, but her website went up right at the time of the finale. It very quickly, soon after, crashed. A few people were able to buy some things, but it sounds like they didn't get their notification and their email if the order went through, so until like way later, so they didn't know if the orders were actually placed. The clothes on the site were not the clothes that we saw in the fashion show. Not even close.
Supposedly more stuff is supposed to drop within the next couple of days on the website, according to Kenya's Instagram story.
Yeah. That's what I hear. But I just, what she has in there are like joggers that are basically from like Shein.
And they're like $100 something.
Yeah. And there are screenshots of them from Shein that are like $5.
Yeah.
And they just have like a star. So it's like not a great look. The website is still down. I just checked it.
Yep. I checked it early, right before we started.
Yeah. So, because I was like, I'll buy something to support Sheree. I'll buy a hoodie. But then I was like, I'm not spending $150 on a screen printed hoodie.
Right.
This is basically just Sheree merchandise, which could have existed. Like you can go to any website and just get like your merchandise put on. Like there's no reason that it took this long. So I would like to see some of the things that were in the fashion show on her site. And I would like to see her fashions, do well.
So hopefully that evolves soon.
Yeah.
But that's where our season ends, with everybody just like in a happy place for Sheree. We have the reunion coming up next week.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to cover in the Real Housewives universe?
I do not think so.
Okay. I would say let's talk New Jersey, but in all honesty, I really have to pee. And so I'm going to end this up. But by next week, who knows where I'm going to be? I've been crushing episodes. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for you to let's talk next week, because the next season is the one that is really going to pop off.
We have dumb people in our
Yeah, I know.
So, all right, then let's round this out. We have Katie on the internet doing things. Katie, this is the second time I'm asking you this question today. What do you do on the internet?
Know. Listen, I can run through this so quick now. So you can follow me on Twitter at RealSlimKatie. You can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSlimKatie with an underscore at the bottom, at the end, not at the bottom. I guess it's at the bottom or the end, whatever. You can also check me out all over the place on Silent Podcasts. Kari and I also cover TJ Hates Quitters, which we recorded an episode earlier today with Puya, so that was a ton of fun. Please feel free to check that out. We talked about last week's episode. We were a little late, but it was worth it. We talked all kinds of shit about Sarah, and we'll be back on Wednesday to talk about that again. You can also obviously find us here on a weekly basis, talking all things Real Housewives. You can find me on a weekly basis on the Bounce Checks podcast, talking all things Big Brother. The season's coming to a close. We have like 3 weeks, not even 2 weeks maybe left of Big Brother. So we're quickly speeding to the end. And you can also find me on Fire and Pod, also brought to you by Silent Podcast, talking all things House of the Dragon. So I'm all over the place these days. Andor, the new Star Wars show, is coming out soon on the 21st, so we'll be covering that as well. So it's like, one door closes, another one opens. Big Brother's over, so we're gonna just jump right into Star Wars.
Makes perfect sense. Katie's all over Silent Podcasts. It is called Katie Podcast now. So as for me, I'm KGD26. Anywhere you need to follow me. And Katie covered all the podcasts I'm doing, so I don't need to tell you twice, but we did record with Puya, and that was fun. So definitely check that out. And then in terms of listening or watching us, you can watch us on YouTube or Twitch, search Silent Podcasts, and then subscribe. You can also follow us on Twitter, silent_podcasts. If you listen to us in podcast form, whether it's Apple, Spotify, or the other ones, rate us 5 stars, leave us a review. We love those. And help us be, popular. So that's all we want. Just subscribe. And yeah, that's it. I need some internet clout.
Yeah, we need validation.
That's really it. But otherwise, that's it for us this week. We will be back next week to cover Beverly Hills and the first episode of the reunion for Atlanta. And Atlanta reunions are always interesting. So
yes, I'm excited. I'm already excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
The preview looked great.
So we will see you next week. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you later. Bye.